Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Kevin here, Candy Banana Balls, and I know this is pretty foggy to look through, and I don't want to disturb these guys too much, but I just wanted you to see, this is that lesser female, and I just want you to see the tail wag and also how she's marking the tub by those urates. And she just did that. You see how the tail she has is actually, try to get a better angle of it, is pointed straight up. And she's scenting and trying to get this male interested in mating. So, just wanted to get a shot of that for you guys. And we also stuck our new super banana in with this Enchi girl. He hasn't really shown any signs of being ready to mate yet. Weight wise and how old he is, he's right there where it could be any time now. So just kind of pairing him up and, you know, seeing his progression. He hasn't been in with a female for about a week and a half, and I've just been putting him in for a small period of time just to see if he shows any interest or if the female does. So see how that pair up goes. That's Super Banana with Enchi, so that would make some pretty nice combos. How's it going, YouTube? Thanks for joining me tonight. It's Kevin here from Candy Banana Balls. I want to talk to you real quick about feeding, the different methods and the pluses and minuses of those methods. Obviously you have live, you have frozen thawed, and what is good and what is bad about both. Frozen thawed is going to be your most versatile and easiest way to feed if you can have snakes that accept frozen thawed meals. If you're just a hobby, you know, it's just pets, and you maybe have one or two snakes, and you buy a snake that is already established on frozen and thawed frozen and thawed rodents, it's a pretty good chance that you could do that throughout your ownership of that snake without issue. Typically where you run into problems with frozen thawed is when you're getting a hatchling. They're more prone to eat live, and then you can work on switching to frozen thawed, but that's something that you got to be willing to do as a snake owner. And I guess the reason I'm putting this video out there is I saw a post on Facebook on one of the ball python sites where a gentleman was complaining about his snake not eating, which is a very typical on these sites. That's probably 80% of the post is, I have a ball python that's not eating, what can I do? And most of the time it's husbandry issues or that type of thing. But basically what this guy said was, I've tried many things, but I refuse to try feeding live. And that's kind of where it sparked this video. If you're a snake owner, ball python owner, you need to be prepared in the event that you need to feed live. It's not a choice for you to make as I'm just not going to do it. You have a life that you're sustaining, and you need to do whatever's best for that snake. And if it comes down to a live feeding for it to eat, well, that needs to be part of your ownership. So that's a caution I want to throw out there to anybody that wants to get a pet ball python. If you're not able to do that, or have someone close by that was willing to do that for you, don't buy one, because it could be a thing that you need to do. A lot of times, I said, if you buy a snake that's on frozen thawed and well established, you may never have to, but for the snake's health, you need to be willing to do whatever it needs to sustain the life of that snake. So that was the point of that. But back to what I was saying. With frozen and thawed, you have a lot of options as far as feeding goes. You can plan out your feeding schedule. So let's just say you have more than one snake. Let's say you have a collection of maybe 10 snakes. The best bet to do with something like that is pick 2 different nights to feed, so you're not going to be wasting anything. So say thaw out 5 rodents for that night, warm them up, feed, and if you have one of those 5 snakes you were going to feed that night and it doesn't eat, you could skip to one of the other ones and it does. So now maybe that next night you can now only thaw out enough for what you have and kind of control your waste that way. Another option is, you know, basically, so the thing I want to go ahead and warn you about then is, to end this video, I'm going to show that live feeding with one of the feedings from the other night. And I've been very lucky. You know, we're trying to breed here. I have 2 males and 7 females, and they've all been feeding 100% perfect. Just last feeding, one of my females refused, and she's been cooling and building, so I think she's, you know, breeding wise is why she refused, which is a good sign. But been having excellent luck feeding, and everything's been going well there. But I'm going to go ahead and show you a live feeding. It's a very short video, to the point, and you know, it is, you know, tough to watch if you're, you know, an animal lover, but it is, like I said, part of the snake keeping process. So if you were new to the hobby and you're there right now trying to decide, do I want to buy a ball python, do I want to buy a snake, and what's all involved in it, you need to kind of watch this last video, last part of it, and see what, you know, you will be facing if you have to feed live, which again, once you get into snakes, a lot of times you don't stop at one, and obviously the more you get, the bigger your chances are that there's going to be live feedings involved. The other thing we didn't cover on the live feedings was the dangers of that. As these rats are bigger in size, and with ball pythons, typically a small rat is going to be pretty much where you can stop to feed all your adult ball pythons. I know a lot of people go mediums on some of their bigger females, as did I. I would consider this one probably on the bigger side of a small to a small medium, but typically I try to stick with smalls and below, and a small rat is pretty much anything you would ever need for a ball python. Even the bigger females are fine on a small rat. It's not like they're going to, you know, not grow or lose weight if they feed on small rats. I think the biggest misconception or biggest mistake people make in this hobby with ball pythons is trying to get the biggest food to the snake to eat, you know, to get that biggest growth every time they eat. And you get a lot more regular feedings, a lot better schedule when you're feeding the appropriate size or even a tad smaller size. Something about the snakes, and it's odd to watch, you know, you can put a bigger rat in with the snake and it's almost intimidated sometimes to eat it, and go ahead and pull that rat out and put the appropriate size in there, and bang, it's over. So a lot of times people are getting refusals and like, well, what's wrong, you know, everything's right, my humidity is right, the enclosure is right, and my snake won't eat. But that mistake they're making is just the prey size. You know, they're trying to get this big rat because they think their snake needs this big meal and to be happy, and a lot of times that's not the case. So the other issue is when they strike, typically the ball python is pretty good at striking the rodent where the rodent can't hurt the snake when it wraps up. But in the heat of the chase, in the heat of the battle, probably 70–80% of the time they do that, but there is that other 15–20% where the rat could do damage to your snake by biting it, and obviously the bigger rats can do a lot more damage. You know, a small rat can definitely in that small brief period where they're passing can bite pretty severely and hurt your snake to the point of even a vet visit. And a lot of these, you know, you have these snakes, beautiful morphs, beautiful colors, there's something to look at, and then, you know, you have a rat, you know, take a big chunk out of it, and it may take, you know, several sheds for that to heal and go away to where you don't see it. So not only just for the snake's well-being, but aesthetically to look at it. You know, you don't want them to get bit, basically is what I'm getting at. And that's a big chance you take by feeding live, because, you know, that rodent is 9 times out of 10 trying to defend itself or get away, and it's going to do every last thing it can between scratching and biting, and it can harm your snake. And you'll see in this video, it actually looked like this rodent did bite, but I waited until after everything was settled and checked, and there was no marks. So it could have, for a brief second, the snake had it in kind of a bad position. It could have inflicted a bite and some issues, and luckily it didn't. So that's another thing to consider when feeding live, that you could harm the snake and also, you know, harm the beauty of it as well. And obviously you don't want that. So frozen and thawed, if you can do it, is definitely a way to go. But just be prepared as a snake owner that you may have to feed live. And like I said, in this next clip, you will see what that looks like. Thanks for this. It's been a lengthy video and a lot of boring, no snake action. But we'll end it with this feeding. And please like and subscribe. Journey-wise, we had the lock with the big 4,000 gram Bertha. She's been cooling. She's still feeding, but she's been cooling most all the time. And we have been pairing up now the Super Banana and the Pastel Banana with the females. No locks to speak of as of yet, but I just put them in again tonight, so cross your fingers on that. And that Super the Firefly female, she shed, so prelay shed, I think, because we saw the ovulation. 30 days. I think we're going to see eggs, but keep in tune and we'll go from there. But she, I know she was ovulating. It was very obvious. It just, you know, for the first time and as quickly as it happened, I was just kept questioning myself, is this really real? But I think we're going to have eggs within 30 days from her. So nice things happening. Jump on there, come along the journey. We're going to have a lot of fun to get. Hopefully a little bit of learn along the way, and hopefully not too many errors, you know, trial and errors as we learn. Let's hope for the positives, but you know, this is a learning thing. This is nature, and things happen. So come along the journey, like, subscribe, and thanks again for watching this lengthy video. And like I said, coming up next is the live feeding. Thank you very much, and have a good evening.